Okay. Welcome everyone to the Distilled Spirits Council Ask the Expert webinar series. I am Ross Mulcairn, Director of Member Services and Business Development at the Distilled Spirits Council of the United States, better known as DISCUS. We are recording this webinar, so it'll be available later on the DISCUS YouTube channel and in our member portal for DISCUS members. For those of you who are not as familiar, DISCUS is the leading voice and advocate for our members and the distilled spirits industry across the United States. DISCUS provides a wealth of resources and services, including this webinar series that aims to educate and share relevant trends, ideas, resources, discussions, and opportunities for our members and for spirit suppliers across the country. If you are a DISCUS member, please be sure to register for the upcoming fly-in that we are hosting on September 24th at our offices here in Washington, D.C., where our members will take meetings on Capitol Hill to discuss the issues facing our industry, followed by our annual cocktail party that evening on our rooftop at our office. If you would like to register or if you have any questions, please reach out to membership@distilledspirits.org. There will also be a link to the registration page in the chat here. And for those of you who are watching this later on the recording, that is September 24th, 2026. So if it is after that date, I'm sorry you missed it, but it'll be a great time and we look forward to seeing you at future ones. I also want to make sure everyone here is aware that DISCUS is now an approved provider of the WSET course in sake for those interested in getting your WSET certification in spirits, which we have been providing for many years in levels 1, 2, and 3, and in sake for levels 1 and 2. There will be a link in the meeting chat to sign up for DISCUS through those courses, through DISCUS for those courses. And with that sort of housekeeping taken care of, I want to welcome our speaker for today's webinar, Creating Recurring Revenue with Custom Memberships, with Kif Forbush, Vice President of Operations and Business Development at Perks Professor, powered by the YCS Group. Welcome, Kif.
Thank you, Ross. I appreciate it. Appreciate the time and everybody joining us today.
Now, Kif, this webinar series is called Ask the Expert. So I'd love if you could tell everyone here a little bit about what you guys are working on at Perks Professor and what makes you the expert that we called in today to talk about membership programs.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to. So, just to give you a little background on Perks Professor and YCS Group. So, Perks Professor is powered by the YCS Group membership platform. We've been engaging in powering our membership platforms now since 2012, so well over a decade. Really trying to help our customers be able to communicate and also offer value to their customers to continue to engage and increase, overall what their kind of regulars and reasons to come back. So to help to increase what foot traffic looks like, things like that. And so we've done that in a broad range of different industries, whether that be hospitality industry, working with beverage and craft brewers, distillers, winemakers, those sorts of folks. And we work to help build them customized member programs. And then we also have worked in with telecom, banking, credit unions, you name it. So we've worked with millions of different really opportunities to be able to engage with up to millions of members and customers across the country. So something we're excited to do, but today really we're focused with Perks Professor enjoying and growing what distilleries are able to do and grow a membership kind of organically. So that's a lot of what we've been building and what we've been doing over the course of the last 15 years nearly. So it's been a fun process, and we really enjoy working in this industry. My background personally, I spent some time as a supplier rep working out in Colorado in the Mountain West, so I enjoyed that. And then kind of moving into tech, this has been a fun thing to circle back to that experience in those times. So enjoy this industry a lot. So it's a good thing. So, but that's
Awesome.
kind of a little background on us.
That's great. Well, we love to have you, and there are a lot of people tuned in today who are also big fans of this industry. So we're glad to have everyone here. But speaking of the spirits industry, membership is a question that has been coming up. It's something that people are looking into. I know you guys are expanding your distillery business. Could you tell us a little bit about, what is sort of drawing this interest and demand in people in the spirits industry and at distilleries looking into these membership programs?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, as we all know, we're all looking for new ways to be able to increase customer visits, traffic to your tasting rooms, being able to kind of find new ways to bring interest back into our industry, finding new ways to help people or your best customers to be able to really engage with your brand on a regular basis. And increase that, really increase spend and those sorts of things. We're all looking for opportunities to bring some of those dollars back. So what we do is what we're trying to do, or memberships in general do, is to help to create a more predictable monthly recurring revenue. Whether it's monthly, I say monthly here because that's really our focus, but monthly, quarterly, or an annual membership to help to drive that foot traffic. It connects those customers and becoming a member of your distillery, so that they've got that opportunity, or that thought in the back of their mind, like, hey, you know what? What are we doing this weekend? Let's do something fun. Why don't we go back to visit our favorite distillery? And now we're thinking about that because it's something that I've actually invested in, to become one of those members. So, that's where we're using this type of a membership, and we see memberships help to increase their tasting room visits, strengthen that customer loyalty because now they feel like they've got a bit of a look behind the curtain, right? Like, hey, I'm part of this team. I'm excited about being a part of this distillery and knowing when exciting things are coming up and what's going on, maybe that not every person knows about, and the things that we really are trying to help to give that type of ability to engage, and then also gain and try to build more of an organic ambassador that way. When you start talking about the things you're excited about, and I know something that maybe some other folks don't, I sure get excited to share that with my buddies. It's like, hey, you know what? And you got to hear about this new bourbon coming out. It's fantastic. Or, hey, I really like these other products. So if I know about it first, it gives me that sense that I'm part of kind of the fun of building this program with my favorite distillery.
Yeah.
So, and then we want to try to also make sure that, we're simplifying membership management and looking at, that's one of the keys right now. As we talk to distilleries throughout the country, they're really the folks that have built these already. If they're not if they're using, whether it's a binder with everybody's name written down to go back to make sure that Ross is still a member, he's active, or if you've got it in a spreadsheet somewhere that somebody's got to go keep track of manually, make sure they're still making their payments. That takes a lot of time and effort away from what you're trying to do in running your distillery every day. So that's some of the great things, but also some of the challenges that come with building membership. So one of the things that's really important as you're building a member program, or as you're thinking about potentially improving existing member programs, is what's the actual value? So making sure that those members are looking at your program, your membership options, what's available to them, whether that's a monthly bottle that they're going to receive, or again, when I say monthly, just realize this can be something, it should be something that you can look at based on what your traffic looks like. If you're looking for somebody that's a monthly member, a quarterly member, an annual member, we tend to focus more towards monthly because it's nice to see them more often, but obviously some of those things can just kind of depend. But thinking about what those kind of credits look like, what they're going to receive, and the value of that membership. So whether it's a complimentary tasting or a flight, early access to limited releases, member only events, merchandise, exclusive offers, those sorts of things. But really, what we're trying to do is create value beyond discounts. So one of those things, it's, we don't want to just start to look like it's just another discount program like everybody else's that you see out there. Starting to show that there's more to this than just a here's a list of things you get. We're really trying to build this value and excitement about your brand. Um, so that's some of what we're looking at there as far as,
Yeah.
why we believe in what we're seeing distilleries starting to build membership.
That's awesome. And I appreciate this. And one, I have a question to follow up on this. But before I do that, I just want to remind everyone here that there is a chat and a Q&A box. If you guys have any questions for Kif or for us as we go along, feel free to pop those in. We're going to talk for about 30 or so minutes, and then we're going to save a little bit of time just for Q&A at the end, where it will be a specific call for questions. But if there's anything as we're going through this that you want to ask that's on top of your mind, feel free to send that in. We'd love to address that as it's going, to keep everyone engaged and make sure that we're answering your questions as they come along. But one question that I have as I look through this, as you talk about, offering value versus just discounts, is that sort of the biggest difference that you see in some of these successful programs? Like, what is a hallmark of a good membership program that, is generating recurring revenue, is growing, is keeping the people happy versus one that, because I'm sure there are people out here who there's probably someone tuned into this webinar that said, oh, I tried a membership program, I set it up, it wasn't that successful, and it was a waste of my time, and I put too much effort into it, and I didn't get much out of it. So what are you usually seeing when someone is having success versus not in these membership programs?
Sure. So the things that I think are really, it's interesting. You should ask that, Russ. Now, the things that I think are really important as far as that goes, like consistency obviously is going to be key as far as marketing and managing the membership program, both in the tasting room and then uh, through other channels. So making sure that, we're communicating with everyone, we're letting them know what these are. But in terms of value, um, it's simple to get lost in, well, I'm giving away 20% on my bottles, or get kind of caught up in thinking from distillery perspective that, well, I'm giving all this away. Well, don't they see the value in this? So one of the things that makes a big difference for us there's is making sure that the perceived value is more than what it costs you to be able to run that manage it and run um, your membership program. So we want to see that from my perspective, not only do I, as a consumer, if I put myself in that role right now, and I look at this and I say, I'm looking at the offers that you have. I'm trying to understand what this membership program is. Do I see, yeah, not only am I going to receive this bottle and I'm going to be able to get flight for free every month, let's say, or whatever the things that we've decided are going to build that membership. There has to be that other value there, where it's helping you to engage again with the staff. They're talking about the exciting new things going on. I've got this feeling of really becoming somebody that, it again kind of goes back to building that organic ambassador, because the value to me is I'm a part of this organization at this point, even though it's, as my part is being a member and supporting you through, your business and buying your products. It does start to make me feel more like I'm engaged. So that engagement, when I know about new events going on, things that you're doing in the tasting room or the distillery, those are the things I think that help, and that we'll kind of talk more about here too as we get into this, keeping members engaged. Like those are the things I think can make a difference, and not just talking about discounts, because it's easy to get into that and you've got your flyers out to say, here's our membership. But then again, talking about those things so that it makes sense. Like you receive more than just this discount, I think, is kind of to try to get back to what you're asking. So when we look at this perspective, we start talking about engagement, promoting new releases, member only events, exclusive experiences. There's opportunity, obviously, if you wanted to come in and you go to bottling events, and people coming in and get to be able to, whether they're blending or there's those unique experiences that they can become part of, that you do in your day-to-day business, just to getting the job done, that they don't get to enjoy themselves or whatever they may do in their day-to-day life. This is something to get behind, something they're passionate about, and they enjoy your spirits. So it helps encourage repeat visits, bring a friend opportunities. Obviously, at that point, we're trying to expand and referrals, celebrating birthdays, anniversaries, those kinds of milestones, um, staying connected through email, text, push notifications, having that ability to communicate with them regularly about things that are coming up or different events is a key to making sure that you're going to be able to, drive that type of a strong member engagement.
Awesome.
Um, so that's long way to get there, but that's kind of what we're doing, like, what we see in general.
And when someone is setting up a program like this, how are they tracking success? What is obviously, you sign up and people are signing up for your membership program, which is great, but what's the best way for a distillery to say, we want to start this program, we want people to be recurring monthly payers as VIPs, as members, as regulars? How do they best track whether or not that's working? What is a good sign for you that that's coming through, that they're making more money, besides just, I guess, making more money,
Yeah,
that people are happy and people are coming back?
sure. So some of what we see and what we're able to track and kind of manage through our with our software or with our program is that you're able to go ahead and track redemptions, so you know how often they're coming in to redeem the offers that they have available. So so you're able to see what redemptions are. you know, on a monthly growth perspective, how that your membership is continuing to grow, you know, how many new members have signed up each month and what's that trajectory look like, making sure that you have an understanding of what the your retention is, which I'd say in most cases we're seeing with these types of membership programs about a 90% plus retention rate. So they've been fantastic. Once that someone has bought in, they're staying. They're excited about the products they're getting when they feel that same value, right? So they're staying around, or they're coming back even. So, you know, and some of the other things that we see too, in getting into that is to be able to offer, whether you're building a email list to be able to communicate to free members or just folks that are just giving you to become part of the mailing list that might get a birthday cocktail every year, or someone who's paying $125 a month or a quarter, whatever it might be, to be able to get that access to the, you know, your best, most special new product coming out, whatever that bottle is, or whatever that, you know, whatever you're coming out with is special next.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and here's a few other things I wanted to we'll make sure we cover on that as well. So, making sure that your members, you know, for programs like what we see with Perks Professor right now, our members are visiting 2 to 4 times more per month than they did before. So, even if it was a regular that was coming in maybe 1 to 2, 3 times a year, let's say, now we're starting to see them come back in. So, we're trying to drive that member to come back in at least once a month, or at least, you know, once a quarter. We're able to kind of help them to accrue and understand value is going to grow. Predictable recurring monthly revenue, obviously, increased bottle, merchandise, and tasting room sales. So a lot of times, if I have something in my as a member, what we see is if I already have, let's say, $30 credit that's part of my membership. So we use credits sometimes if we're not just giving away a bottle was 1 to 1. So I've got a $30 credit. Well, now that gives me it kind of feels like play money, right? I've already got my Monopoly money. I walked in with my $30 in my pocket. Well, I'm going to buy the $65 bottle. I'm going to buy the $80 bottle because I'm still going to spend that money. Now I've got this extra money to play with, and I'm excited about it because I'm going to get this thing that I kind of keep as a special treat. And now this membership's helping me to get that on a more regular basis. So that's one of those things I think we kind of think about value and excitement from a consumer perspective. It's like, man, this is great. And so one of the things that we see too, so we've been talking a lot about from the consumer perspective, but the other piece that we're finding more and more is that on average, our partners are actually seeing a 70% profit on their membership dues each month. So that's membership only, doesn't cover anything with what they're spending in the store, just on their memberships. After all of your fees are out for, you know, transaction fees and what you're actually covering in terms of the products that are going out the door as part of your discounts or your benefits, you know, they're still seeing a 70% membership dues return. So that on average, that's what the revenues look like. So yes, that's where that perceived value comes back in when you're looking at these memberships. There's enough of, you know, for lack of a better way of putting it, there's enough breakage in the model that you're getting those dues paid, and that there's enough people that aren't using some of those additional perceived value options like buy one, get ones and those sorts of offers, that you're going to keep a majority of that membership payment in a lot of cases.
That's amazing. And, you know, if you're creating a lot of value for your members, it's really a win-win for both sides. They think that they're getting more out of it. They're getting a better deal. They want to keep coming back because they like the place and they know they're getting a great thing there. And then you're also getting that increased revenue. So that's fantastic.
Absolutely.
But I saw that 70% profit number, which is amazing. And if you're at 70% profit and, you know, you're seeing like 90% people returning on these programs, you know, I'm talking to these. We're at Discus. We're hearing from our distillers every day, and a lot of them, you know, it's a dollars and cents business right now. So what are we actually looking at in terms of people coming to these? What are you seeing when people are signing up for these programs? What are the actual kind of revenues that they're seeing from these?
Sure. So let me slide on here. So this can kind of give you some ideas in terms of revenues, what the averages look like. So this is working off of a $35 per member per month revenue model. So, you know, these types of numbers, I mean, whether it's the smallest distilleries that we're currently launching that have been out in the last few months, and they're growing right now at 7 to 10 new members per month on average. They're actively, consistently marketing the program both internally and through their different marketing channels. You know, they're seeing growth for the smallest distilleries out there. And then when we talk to some of our larger partners, they're looking at this as something that they may already have, and this is common. We have seen these across the market also with 500 to 1,000 members. So the best part for me is if we start to look at this from we start at the smallest option that we have. We're looking here. If we've got 50 members and you're making additional $1,200 a month, that's with that 70% number we're talking about. We're at the end of the year, we're approximately $15,000, and we're saying, okay, well, what do those things look like? How does that help me, to upgrade things in my distillery? How do I get to upgrade? What can that $15,000 do for me every year? Whether it's as simple as looking at helping pay the rent every month, or if it's something that's like we're going to start to increase and improve or add new things to the venue, whatever it is. That when we start to look at these numbers, and this is real money in your pocket automatically every month, every quarter, however we set these up. I mean, these are the types of numbers that we're seeing for our customers and are growing quickly. Now, one of the things that also is important, the the memberships we see grow the fastest that started with nothing, if they're starting from zero, if they have something attached to that initial launch. So whether that's, glassware, or if it's a Stein, or if they're doing something if there's something to help me move more quick, like there's that carrot, right? So hey, if you sign up this month, you're going to get customized glassware from my distillery. You're going to give you a glass with our branding on it, or potentially, if you wanted to go this far, you could add names. I know with like Restless Spirits in Kansas City, where we're at, they're launching right now. If you sign up in their top level, you're getting a shirt and you're getting a glass with your name on it that they're going to keep at the bar, or you can take home however you like. But you have that to use as a member. It kind of shows that extra level of what's the right word? Sorry. So it kind of gives you that extra level of, hey, it makes you feel special, makes you feel
That
like you're
extra
appreciated.
personal touch.
Yeah, exactly. So, and those things, I can tell you this, when our partners start their membership that way, and we launch it with those types of things, that kind of they take off very quickly. Like we'll see 50 to 100 members in the first 30 days, because they know that's part of what they're going to, it's exciting, and they know that there's this finite time before they're not going to be able to pick that up again until 12 months from now. So
Mhm.
those are some things that we can do, and we see them to help grow to these numbers more quickly. Because I know sometimes it's a little daunting to say, all right, well, how do they get to 500 members? Well, it's not going to happen in a month. It's going to take time. It's going to take consistency. One of the things, it's a little bit outside of what we do, but one of the things I always think is funny when we start talking about consistency, whenever you go to a McDonald's or any fast food restaurant anymore, the first thing they ask all of us is, are you going to use your app today? Every time, no matter what, that's what they're going to ask. And it's one of those things that I think that from a membership perspective, from it really is something that when you buy into it and you have your staff buy into it and you help them to understand that, look, when we do this, we're going to see an increase in foot traffic that's going to help you make more money. You're going to have more tips. You're going to see more clients. You're going to have opportunity to upsell. Those are all of those things that really start to help. If we can get buy-in in the distillery from everyone by doing these things and seeing that, hey, look, these are things that are going to help you, and these types of dollars are real. And it's things that we see and our clients have seen.
That's amazing. And, I think I speak for everyone in this. I'd love an extra $15,000 this year. That would be helpful for me personally. It'd be great for everybody. But also it's that I like that sort of added touch of, the way that to make this successful is buy-in, whether it's, through Perks Professor, or if you're just setting it up, like you said, with a piece of paper in the back, that it's not necessarily an extra investment of this thing that we're paying for to make sure that the membership program is working. It's just the fact that you're asking when you're there, are you a member? Or encouraging people to be bought into it, to say, this is something that we care about, that we're going to bring up to people, that we're going to make sure we're providing that great value for them. I know everyone here, I'm sure, has some place that they like to go to that, is a good value, but, they generally just get it out of having the right people and feeling comfortable there and feeling like they're wanted back. And I love that these membership programs is sort of a way to demonstrate value to those people, specifically because they want to come back. And then, it helps out your bottom line as well. So everyone's happy. Um, but as we're looking at this, I know we're talking about, whether people are scaling up an existing one or starting from scratch. Beyond just sort of that, I guess, first big burst, like you said, that sort of incentive, uh, maybe if people are signing up, what is the step one for somebody if they're saying, I want to start a membership program. My distillery is going well, or we're chugging along, sort of stay in the course. We want people to have the incentive to come back. This is a good idea. What's the next step for somebody who's tuned in and wants to be a part of this?
Sure. So I think, clearly every distillery is different, so it's not all going to be a cookie cutter for everyone. But I think one of the main things is to try to keep it simple at first and take advantage of getting that direct feedback from your customers when they're in. Ask them questions about things that if just directly ask them, I'm thinking about creating a membership program. Is there any things that you could see that would be valuable to you that would make you interested in that type of program? And get that direct feedback, because I think that's a great way to start a conversation. You already have a good idea of what's going on in the distillery right now and the things that your customers like best. So obviously, I'm sure as you're all listening and we're talking through this, you've got some ideas there that's like, all right, these are the things that I've already seen. We know on a daily basis that this is what our customers enjoy. But I think the other fun thing is we talk about engagement. If you are engaging your regulars right now and you're starting to have them help you build a membership program, that's a great way to make them feel like they're already kind of have that opportunity to engage with this. So now we're getting them involved. They're a part of this. When they see it come out, they can tell their friends and tell their other friends too. Hey, I was a part of this. This was really cool. I'm so excited that my favorite distilleries got this program and I helped them to do that. Or I had my little piece in giving them, my input. And then obviously it's going to be one of those things too, when you're sitting around having a nice cocktail in the evening and talking to other friends about, hey, you know what? I get this because I'm a member of my club, and these are the things that they do for me. You really should check it out too. I would start there because that's going to start to give you kind of that organic growth from the beginning. You're already starting to plant the seed with your regulars. I would start there to understand what they're interested in. And then you can start to kind of narrow those things down and say, okay, these are the things that I know I can afford to do this and give these things away, or this can be part of my value and my perceived value to my customers. And then we start to bring it down from there. And then the next piece, of course, is all right, so now I've got an understanding what my offers are going to be. I've gotten this set up so I can start to market it directly to my members or my soon to be members. And then to make sure that you can track all these things. So whether that be like we've already talked about, if it's something that you're keeping track of on a spreadsheet, or if it's something where you can use a platform like Perks Professor that has a full integrated data set, like a whole member portal that you can get in. You can see all of your members, how often they're coming back to and renewing and redeeming their benefits, how often they're, who's registered when, all of that contact information. And there's a full messaging center there that you can start to communicate with them. Having those things lined out, how am I going to keep consistent? How am I going to make sure that my staff understands the value? Let's make sure that they can see this visibly, how their redemptions are taking place or how they're able to come in and ask for those things. Kind of seeing that next. And then, I think, again, that starts to get back to communication and being consistent in promoting the membership. So if it's something that becomes a trifold brochure, or it's just a table tent sitting in a corner, yeah, I mean, everybody forgets about it at that point and it starts to lose traction. But if it's a part of, kind of becomes part of your DNA, and it's like, this is who we are. We have this great membership and these fantastic customers. Like that's the end goal for all of us, right? And so if we can kind of start with understanding first what your current customers are most excited about, and then you're able to communicate more with them and other exciting things coming up, and you have a plan to get to that piece, the outcomes, of course, are going to be some of the numbers that we were looking at.
That's amazing. And I know, you and I were talking about this the other day as we were preparing for this webinar, and it was reminding me that, this is not quite a distillery, but personally, I can tell you, I'm signed up for the membership program at AMC theaters, just like their Movie Pass, and I go there and I tell friends about it, and whenever someone wants to go to movies, I'm bringing them along. So it's I know that I felt that same buy-in as a customer, that it is nice to sort of get that feeling of I'm part of this and I can evangelize for other people because I know what this experience is. Yeah, we have a question actually in the chat from Justin. This is sort of related to what we were talking about. That says, have you seen success with first-time programs offering different tiers or levels of membership?
Yes, we have. So what the short answer, of course, is we have. What I would say that is helpful with a program like ours, or in general, if you can start with something that's as simple as, let's say it's the first member level, that's a $25, $35, whatever, numbers aren't as important as just starting with that first membership. The good thing is as you can be flexible and you start to get more feedback again in understanding what your customers want, then we can start to, as we get that first level launched and you start to get feedback and you start to understand what the appetite is for something like this with your customers, then you can start to recognize, well, you know what? It'd be a good idea to add a premium tier. Now these folks are going to spend $75 a month, and this is what they're going to, and there is that appetite there for more. I want to pick up, shoot, I want to pick up a case every quarter, or I want to, whatever that, however that starts to look. Then I think that there's definitely potential to be able to grow those. But tiers, a lot of times when we're looking at tiers, it may be tiers like we just mentioned. So it could be a free entry level that just gets you a cocktail on your birthday, and then you kind of go up from there. The other thing that we can look at too, as far as your levels go, is you can start to think about, do I want to make this a monthly membership, a quarterly membership, an annual membership that they're only making a single payment? Obviously, we'd all prefer to have that revenue come in monthly as opposed to annually. But it's trying to find that difference. And I think one of the things that our customers and our members, our partners like, is that we can help them through our software to be able to provide, it can actually track and accrue like credits each month. So that, let's say I'm getting a $30 credit when I join, and now every month I don't use it for 3 months. Well, I have $60 or $90 to be able to redeem when I come into the distillery. So I may not make it every month, but you're still receiving that payment every month the same as you would before. And now I can come in and redeem those all at one time. So I think having that type of flexibility and kind of the ability to um, configure a membership so that you say, yep, I'm starting with a single tier. I'm going to start here, or I'm going to offer a free and a paid, and we're going to see what that looks like. It does help you kind of A/B test through what the membership's going to look like at first, and then you can always tweak and be more flexible as you continue to grow the membership program.
Yeah. And hey, you may find that after a few months of your 25 or $35 tier, you know which are the 10 people you're going to call when you introduce that $100 a month tier, because you know they're all going to sign up for it because they're the ones getting the value from your distillery. So that is helpful to think through, how are you starting out with one level versus multiples, and finding that success.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Justin. So anyone else in the chat and the Q&A, please go ahead and submit those questions because we want this to be as helpful as we can be. And well, there you go. Cole, look at you. You're cutting me off again. Based off of your experience, which pricing model has been more successful, monthly, quarterly, or annual? So I guess, Kif, as you were just talking about, having that monthly is nice for your personal, but I imagine there's also a lot of folks who could say, based on churn, it's nice for annual versus quarterly versus monthly. Also, it depends on what kind of benefits that you're offering. If it's $25 a month, how much value can you provide monthly versus quarterly? And now I'm starting to answer your question for you, so I apologize. Kif, please, based on what you've seen, what has been most successful for distilleries and other, retention groups on monthly, quarterly versus annual pricing structures?
Yeah. So I think from what we see, and a lot of times, clearly, I think from the things that we see most often is probably more of a monthly, quarterly type of options. Annual is good, but I think that when you've got an annual membership, it starts to, I don't know, there's some potential with an annual membership. So I don't want to say it doesn't work, because I know we've had several of our partners who went from an annual membership and they brought it into a monthly to try to kind of change that dynamic. And usually what it's done is it's increased their engagement. So I think if you're doing something that's monthly or quarterly, it broadens who potentially could be a customer or a member. A lot of the memberships, and some of the reasons that we focus on monthly memberships, is you think about the memberships that you join, and let's say it's whether it's a distillery quarterly membership or a winery quarterly membership. When the quarterly membership price starts to get to be $300 to $500 a quarter to be able to actually get anything of value out of it, that's a pretty tough pill to swallow for some people. And when we're trying to find ways today to engage more and more people that may not have that same level of income, to be able, that expendable income, to be able to, to say, okay, I'm gonna join this club. So the nice thing about a monthly is it starts to give you that ability to broaden who the market is and who the audience is for for your membership program. Where when that price starts to come up for a quarterly or an annual membership, it's something they're going to have to potentially budget for. So those things give you some flexibility. So we've got some of our partners that are actually doing both. So they've got an option that's here's your membership for your monthly membership, here's a quarterly option, here's an annual option. So you can start to offer the things that fit best because you kind of, you're going to make sure that everybody's seeing the thing that they're most interested in.
Interesting. And have you found, uh, I guess, because when I look at a lot of these things, I'm thinking about like a streaming service that you're signing up for a monthly payment. A lot of times there's an incentive to do the longer term structure. It's $10 a month or $100 for the year. So you save 20 bucks if you know you're going to do it all year. Have you found there's any benefit to stuff like that if people are structuring things like that?
Um, so
Or is
I
that
mean,
even, a worthwhile, is that something that folks are experimenting with? Maybe not.
sure. No, I think that's usually something that I see as an offer if they're going to do the difference between a monthly and an annual membership. I think that it does make sense to kind of give you that if that's what you're looking for, right? So if I want to try to get um I guess it depends on the distillery's kind of their goal. If you're looking to try to grow, a lot of times we run into this more with our breweries, but I'll use it as an example. They usually have everybody sign up for Mug Club in like January, February to offset their slow time of year. So if that's something that's a goal, like all right, there's less traffic in our distillery in January and February, so we want to start to make sure these are the times we want to have this nice influx of member dollars. That's an annual membership. Yeah, that makes sense to go with that sort of a when you start to incentivize those members to join based on a discount because they're going to pay all at once. I mean, whether it's a single membership drive or throughout the year, if you like to see those bigger dollars come in all at one time, I mean, yeah, there's nothing wrong with getting the extra money. In my opinion, bring it.
Now, as I was asking that, we got a question from Landon in the chat who said that they do membership programs on quarterly and annual, and they do a slight discount on annual to keep the engagement longer. Um, Now it sounds like they've stayed away from monthly out of a fear of attrition or churn of people sort of signing up for 1 month and then dropping off longer. Are you seeing that with a lot of your monthly members, or are people staying engaged year round due to the sort of value that they're getting from the distillery?
Yeah, so majority of what we've seen are staying engaged year round because of that, trying to make sure the perceived value is such that it's got something, it's giving them some reason to come back in to see you every month. Like that's our number one goal is to continue to try to drive that begin with the value so that it feels like something that you're having a conversation about what are we going to do this weekend for a good time, and the first thing you think of is, well, we've got these things at our distillery we need to go use before we lose them at the end of the month, so we're going to go in and get this offer. So trying to make sure I go back through Landon's question here and reading it to make sure I'm not missing, but that's kind of the piece for us that we like about monthly as opposed to well, not as opposed, but just in general, is that when we're not seeing a large amount of attrition based on a monthly membership. There's always going to be some turnover. People move, they, just decide they don't want to do this anymore, or whatever it might be. They're not finding the value in it. But in general, like I said, our average is about 90% retention for people on a monthly membership program. So I'd say there's some attrition, but at the same time, it's keeping them engaged because they know they've got to do something. They've got these new offers coming each month, and they're paying attention and tracking that payment.
So I guess that also, and now I'm freestyling a little bit, apologies, but the question I guess comes down to where is that value? Is it from the monthly payment, in which case, hey, let's get the annual because then it keeps them, we know we're getting that payment, or is it more from the biggest value is getting them to come back, getting them to be in there? Because if they are looking at their bill every month and saying, oh, this is really I really need to go because I've already paid for this, then they're going to come back more and more and spend ideally more money day by day rather than just saying, because if they're paying for it and they're not ever using it, they're going to probably leave. But that's going to happen to anybody. That's up to the value of it. Whether you're monthly or annual, if they're not using it, they're not a good customer for you to hold on to.
Yeah.
Um, but that is an interesting sort of difference in perspective of where is the real value from their dollars they're spending outside the membership or the dollars they're spending just on the membership in terms of the monthly versus the annual.
Yeah. So, I mean, the goal for us and what we usually are trying to, and what we see in kind of our recommendations usually are that those member dollars are there to be able to really be a nice new revenue stream in general. The membership program should be helping to drive more foot traffic on a regular basis. So if someone that was normally in every quarter now is coming back every month, or let's say every other month, now their spend when they're at the distillery should be going up also. They're going to buy, whether it's buying bottles or, doing a new flight based on what other products are in the available and some new things to try. Those are the things that really we're trying to help you do is with that increase in foot traffic is knowing that you're going to have them back in to see you more than maybe once every 6 months, every 3 months. Now they're back in. Maybe they don't come in every month, but you know what? I know I still have these offers available to me if I'm accruing credits. Yeah, we forgot about it last month. We have to go in and do this, or I know I'm going to come back on this a more regular basis.
That's amazing. Now, we did just get another question, and I'm going to go ahead and assume that the start of the answer is it depends. But I think it was, let me just get the name here. James said, have you historically seen a sweet spot range in monthly membership costs? What is the tolerable versus outrageous level? So beyond just, obviously, it depends on what you're offering and where you're located. Have you seen any sort of data in terms of where people are finding success?
Yeah, so I think in general, especially for entry level type of member levels, we're usually dependent upon a lot of different factors, but usually we're somewhere in the $30, $25 to $35 range to start. But I know a lot of times, especially when we're talking to just in this case, speaking of distilleries, the cost of those products is already starting at something like $30 to $50 on a bottle. So in that case, we do see it's a little bit higher. So usually we're starting more with the distillery about $35 up to 50. Um, so that's a lot of what we're seeing if it's a paid membership that does have a high value. So if that's the case, we try to make sure that the perceived value is double whatever the monthly fee is. So if it's a $35 a month membership, you want to start to focus on trying to get something that's worth at least perceptive. The perception is it's worth $70. So whether that's I've got a bottle I'm going to pick up, I've got I'm going to have a cocktail when I'm there, I'm going to try some new flight. Overall, my membership payment is going to get me all of these other things, and then that's where that 70% revenue that we talked about on the membership, that's kind of that sweet spot for them because there's a lot more there. There's more meat on the bone to build your value. And then really at the end of the day, they're not coming in and taking advantage in most cases of everything you've offered. So, the membership is that's where that pricing is important to be able to use that number and then be able to build a perceived value on top of that. So I look at it and say, yeah, it's $35 or it's $50, but I get $100 in value by being a member every month because I'm going to get access to these things, whether it's 20% off every bottle after my first bottle, or if it's something about a case pricing, or they get access to other things that other people don't. I think that's how that really is how we usually position those things. But I'd say if you're looking at entry level, I'd say $35 is a good spot to start for most of us. But obviously, take that into account based on what the cost of your products are, what bottles that you're selling.
Yeah, and I assume there's also the whole cocktail versus a flight versus a specific bottle
Mm.
versus merchandise, whatever that may be. Um, there's a big range in terms of that value, but I like that sort of double perceived value idea of 35 or 70 or 50 for 100. Because there's always the whole input costs versus upfront costs, and how customers are perceiving it, which is excellent. So this is great. People will keep coming in questions. I don't even have to write up my own anymore. So this is wonderful. I'm loving everybody being in here. So please keep them coming. I want to make sure everyone's getting as much information as they can. Now, one thing that I will tell you, because I know we just talked about sort of that difference in pricing structure and difference in what you're offering. We know that there are a lot of that we have distilleries on the line here from all over the country, and every state has different rules and regulations. And I know, Kip, you and I have talked about, various states that offer different things of something can be called free versus has to be called a benefit versus this and that. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to dabble into that any further as I am not one of the lawyers here at Discus. But if you are looking into this and you have any questions about that, or any sort of potential benefits, please reach out to Discus, where our legal team is happy to help. Our summary of state laws tool is going to be really useful. I know Kif and his team have spent a lot of time working on that. They can help you with a lot of these questions as well. But if you are a Discus member, please reach out. And if you are not a Discus member and you have questions, please reach out to us, membership@distilledspirits.org, and join us. We've got all sorts of wonderful benefits and opportunities because we are also offering membership, and we want the perceived value to be at least twice what you guys are paying over at Discus. Hopefully it's more than that. Hopefully everyone here is happy with their Discus membership. But yeah, so Kif, I guess, can you talk a little bit more about how you guys are customizing this? So, as again, I feel like I'm on a broken record now, but like figuring out what is the right level of the right cost, the right value. If someone is saying, I want to start with this, how do I, thank you, Justin, Discus membership is priceless. I love that. How is someone going to figure out what's the right step for them? And obviously you guys are doing this a lot. How much flexibility do they have? If someone calls you and says, I want to set up a membership program, but I need XYZ, or I'm doing this, how much customization can someone have if they're calling you and trying to set up a membership at their distillery?
Yeah, absolutely. So the nice thing, I mentioned earlier how long we've been doing this and building membership programs, platforms, white labels for all sorts of businesses. The nice thing is our platform is so built so that we can configure really basically every part of it to fit what our customers are looking for. So when we build your first membership experience, we land on your membership page. It's going to give them up to, however many different options you want. Usually we recommend no more than 4. But we build that out for you. We get your membership built. So you've got that initial page, you've got a whole member experience once they're signed in and they've joined, that you're able to customize the look and feel of everything like that. We get those built out. And then you've got your membership portal to be able to manage message. We've got a full messaging center built in. So whether it's email, text, or push notifications, that's an unlimited messaging center. So you can send whatever messages you might like, and manage that to be able to schedule them, push one, there's a lot of those tools that have been built. So we build all that out for you, and it usually takes us, we're approximately 30 days, give or take. So we can build them quickly because, like I said, I'm doing this a long time. It's something that we're able to get, to be able to help you with and to be able to grow this and kind of strike while the iron's hot.
That's awesome. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's okay. So I guess that's kind of answer your question there as far as what those things build. We obviously will walk through all of this. We help you with initial marketing. So we really are trying to be a kind of that full service membership type of platform that you're able to take advantage of, learn from the things that we've seen in the market to be able to help with other ideas, and then to help you simplify. And then we always look forward to feedback on new things that we can do to continue to improve our platform, to make it better, to add more features, things that you're looking for, feedback you're getting from customers. So those are all kind of part of how we build that out. So we would get on an initial call, talk through what you're looking for, what you may already have, what you'd like to build, and then we can kind of help to design a product for you. One of the things I know, Ross, you and I were talking about, and I'm sure everybody's a little curious just from our perspective. So at working with Discus and what we're, some of those things as far as an economics type of standpoint, for Discus members, we're launching this to be able to roll this out. So there's no setup fees. We get you moving so that there's nothing there to kind of to make that too expensive to get started. And then we don't work on a monthly membership. We don't work on a monthly fee either. We work on a revenue share model. So you only are paying on per member per month basis. So basically what I mean by that is we're doing you keep 85% of every membership dollar that comes in the door. We earn our money on we earn 15% of that membership fee each month, and that's how we help you to build and grow. So everything else is included in that rate.
And free setup for Discus members. That is so generous, Kif. Thank you very much. I know there's a lot of people here who really appreciate that. We want to make sure that our members are getting everything they can. So that's wonderful to hear. And hey, if this is a good growth opportunity for everybody. If they're doing better, then they're getting that 85% and it's growing and growing, and they're keeping more and more of that money. So that's wonderful, and I'm thrilled to have you guys here and have hopefully some of our members get to see some of this benefit as well. Now, before we start to wrap up, I want to make sure that everyone here is aware we've got a few more events coming up that I just want to plug. while I have the audience here. So in 2 weeks from today, we have a webinar, another Ask the Expert, with our friends at TagCap Funding about navigating the cash crunch, as brands can anticipate what they need if they're seeking fundraising, if they need anything like that. 5 days later, on the 25th, we are doing a webinar for Discus members with the TTB. Please, everyone, we'd love to see you guys there and have them answer any questions that you guys have. And then in September, we have another Ask the Expert on the 17th at 1 p.m. With our friends from the Haskell Company, who are going to be talking about data-driven decision making. So wanted to get those out there in front of you guys. The links are in the chat for those of you who would like to register for those 3 events. We would love to see you there. And now, sorry, Kif, I kept you waiting as I was doing my plug. And I got one last thing to say, which is that if anyone here is not a Discus member, one, you can talk to Justin because he's clearly a big fan and he will evangelize better than I could. But please reach out to membership@distilledspirits.org. We put on webinars like this, and as are the ones coming up, and we'd love to help you. We want to see the industry succeed. We want everyone to be as successful as possible. So if you need anything, please reach out to us. If you are currently a member and you want a refresh on any of the membership benefits or anything you need from us, again, membership@distilledspirits.org. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us. So I'll put in a last call for questions in case anyone wants anything or has any other questions they would like to ask us or ask Kif. But Kif, my big thing now, as we're getting close to the end of the hour, is I would just love to know. We've talked about a lot of different things. Is there any sort of nugget of wisdom or last piece of advice that you want to make sure someone's taking away from this when they hang up and they go back to their boss and they said, "What have you done for the last hour?" And you're like, "I was at this webinar. What did you learn?"
Yeah.
Do you have any top level takeaways that you want to make sure everyone remembers here?
If I can find that page. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I think, like we've talked about, I think obviously we want to keep it simple, focus on value, make sure that there's, the perceived value that we've talked about. Start with your best customers. They're going to be a treasure trove of information to understand what the right thing is for them. And then, and I think the very last thing is you want to build a program that you're going to be proud of, because really at the end of the day, in my opinion, it's one of the easiest things to sell, because you're already, it's kind of who you are. It's what your business is. It's the thing that you're excited to share with people and kind of get, for me, I get pretty passionate about a lot of things like that. And if I get an opportunity where it's like, you better believe it, and this is the best membership there is. You know why? Because first off, it's me, right? I'm excited about this. This is my brand, and my products are. This is the best, best spirits there are, whatever those things might be. Whether I'm talking about my rum, or if I'm talking about my bourbon, or whatever it might be. I think that's really the key, is making sure that it's something that you're proud of. You're excited to be able to share it with others. And I think that excitement kind of helps to come through to the rest of your team. So that way those things are something that's really becomes a part of you.
That's amazing. Now, if anyone wants to talk to Kif and his team after this, we're going to be sending a link in the chat to learn a little bit more about their program with the specific contact information and a page to reach out to them. So I would love to see you guys all there. If anyone has, oh, there we go. Thank you, Evan. So please reach out to Kif and his team there. If anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to us or Kif and his team. If anyone was not unable to attend today, we will be sending out this recording to all of our registrants with the recording and with some more information about Perks Professor and membership programs and anything you need from Discus. So with that, I will thank you all for being here today. I will encourage everyone before they log off, to click all those links, sign up for all those webinars, sign up to talk to Kif and his team. We want to see you at the fly-in. We want to see you at the cocktail party. We want to see you on our WSET courses. We thank all of you for being here today. Kif, I want to thank you for your time, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their Thursday. Kif, any last words?
No, I just thank you, Ross. I really appreciate the time and everyone's time today. It was really a pleasure to get to speak with you all, and I hope we have an opportunity to talk to you a little bit more about what you're trying to grow, and if we can help you all be successful, we'd be excited for the opportunity.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for being here, and we will see you all at some future webinars. Have a good one, everybody.
See everyone. Thank you.